What up, home crew? Here we are again. Hope you're enjoying your vacation in your home cave. We've all sort of been sent to our caves to self-reflection, and it's been a interesting adventure that continues on. So they were looking like it's going to continue for several more weeks with all this corona stuff. But a lot of things are shifting. It's really a wild thing to see this much change taking place. It's on a lot of levels. It's been really interesting. The one of the things that, now that I have a little bit more time on my hands, been going, throughout the last several years, I've on my phone, on the notes section, when certain information sort of comes to me, or I'm sort of researching something, I always take notes, and those, it's just sort of like accumulates. Some of them just voice notes, and other things accumulates over time. And so this next topic is something that it's been coming to me to it's sort of come to the top of the pile to share. And one of the biggest things that it's naturally for me is just observing and tracking patterns. It's, for me, it's, for my own personal transformation, tracking patterns, you're able to observe your habits, your patterns, and so on. And therefore, once you can see a pattern, you're able to change it. A lot of times we are not even aware of our patterns, and therefore it's hard to make a change when you're not even aware of it. So over the years, it's sort of, I think because I was paying attention to it, started becoming more of a natural habit to observe patterns. And so several, one of the biggest things before I get into this is that, it's everything that I'm sharing in these videos and what I'm getting ready to share in this one is my own observation, the information I have gathered through my own research and observation, through my own experience, taking, different pieces of the puzzle, and also the information I've received is just basically putting it together and putting it out. So it's not really a debatable topic. Usually when I put things out, it's like this one that I'm going to discuss, it's not necessarily that I'm putting out to debate. I don't really see that there's anything to debate about with it. Everyone's going to have their own view and their own experience and their own remembrance, and just take of it what aligns with your own heart and just leave the rest. In previous videos and information that is very sort of like coarse or like sandpaper, and it actually irritates some people. And so if there's simply just, you're here watching this video just to judge what I got to say, you might as well just go ahead and just turn it off right now. I'd much rather you simply unsubscribe. There's no, I don't really care about that, even though I have people contact me privately sometimes, and just go off on all kinds of weird and crazy tangents. I'm putting this information out for people to take what aligns with them and just leave the rest. So for all the haters and judgers and everything else, simply just turn it off. Hit that stop button and move on. So No judgment from me. You can do whatever you wish. So, getting into this, getting into things here, I just had to really put that out. That's been something about the judging part that I get kickback. For those of you that put information out publicly, you probably know what I'm talking about. When you put stuff out to the public in either writing, because I've gotten it from articles and or videos, there's always some kind of kickback, and in one form or another. And so, I'm well aware of it. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. So, but it's I just had to make that statement, put it out there to let everybody else know that I'm well aware of what the heck's going on. So, going from the last video, the Infinity Grid video, I mentioned in there about remembrance and the part about remembrance that is very natural. And a lot of our remembrance is something that is so natural that it's more of a knowingness than it is anything else. You just know it. Sort of like how you know your name, it's the same thing. The other comment and or statement that I made was, a lot of the remembrance is beyond identity. And so that really leads into what, this topic of the divine feminine and the natural order of things is the part of actually that part of the remembering part is just allowing that part of your own remembrance to actually start just knowing the truth of what is the truth, of being able to observe and say, yeah, I know that, I know that this is this and this is that, just the way it is. So several years ago, I'm not sure how many years it's been, I was watching a video Drumvalo McKeesick was talking about the ascension. Several years ago, everybody was talking about, seems like, the ascension, the ascension change around 2012 and so on. And it was just a lot more discussion and talk about it years ago. And one of the statements he made in that video was, all we are waiting on now is Mother Earth. We are just waiting on her to make a decision on, us moving forward. We're just waiting on Mother Earth. And that statement right there sort of really stuck with me. It's sort of like really was just hit me. And ever since then, that statement, I've been tracking patterns related to, the feminine, the divine feminine, and, observing a lot of different things related to, say the earth, and, basically has consciousness in itself, and it's well aware of what's going on, and basically, has a say in us moving forward as a collective on Earth. So, one of the biggest parts when we're talking about, say, Mother Earth in itself, just to give you an example. So, the natural order of things, if you look at just around your own space in nature, you might see birds, okay? birds different, say male birds might have different colors. They might create little stick formations. They actually might build nests. They might have certain dances. They might have certain songs to attract a female bird. The female bird will basically look at a nest, and might look at the certain song that the male makes, and so on, and then the female chooses basically the male that basically has a certain song that she resonates with, or has a certain structure that he built, that and also the key word there I want you to remember is structure, that he built, that basically she resonates with and basically connects with him. So if you look at when talking about the natural order of things, in that space, the feminine aspect made the choice. It's a very, very in-depth subject that we could talk about probably for hours, but I'm just trying to keep this simplified as possible in a video format here. So even though, in our dualistic world that we live in, this is the dualistic world, a lot of the natural order has been totally distorted. Sort of like dominance, sort of like how over thousands of years of the masculine dominating and manipulating the feminine. And, from total, suppression and so on. But in a lot of ways, this is a dualistic reality. Therefore, that there's a victim and a victimizer. And, I know that there's a lot of personal, this is a very sensitive topic. So I know that there's a lot of personal experiences that might have been involved in this, and so, but what I'm really describing here is more on a collective whole of us as, throughout time. In a lot of different ways, the feminine is allowing this suppression, and has allowed this suppression. In order for the feminine to truly step back into its own power as a collective in this essence, is a matter of releasing the victimhood, and basically stepping and denouncing the manipulation and or the continued suppression. So it's a matter of, there's been a lot of talk about, leading forward into the coming years and the new paradigm and, the new earth and so on, is a matter of the feminine truly stepping back into their power. But the way I see it, it's not a matter of feminine stepping into power where there's dominance over, say, the masculine, or it's done by force. It's a matter of, actually just truly remembering their own divine power to the point where there is more balance. So the other the point about all this that I want to make sure that I'm describing, because there's a lot of different views of, when I say feminine. A lot of what I'm discussing here it goes a lot further than the physical. And so it's not, we all have different aspects, just like the left brain is more masculine structure, where the right brain is more creative and more feminine aspect. It doesn't have a thing to do with, your physical representation of your gender. What I'm discussing is well beyond that. It's the physical body represents the masculine and feminine, but we all have aspects of both, and it's the balance of those two, which is the divine balance. And so, going from that, looking at the divine order, like I was giving you the example of the birds, you look at all different, say, lions. The lion is very strong. In the same way, there's only usually one male lion to a pride of females. And the females actually have to accept the male lion into their group. There's examples after examples that I can give. Another one is recently saw an article not too long ago that scientists are finally seeing that the egg in a woman's womb, basically they've shown evidence that it actually, the egg actually chooses the sperm. So it's not like the sperm is, it attacks the egg and, overwhelms it. The egg actually chooses. Again, chooses. So let's look at things at another level. So going back to the earth and the sun, a lot more awareness in these last 10 years regarding solar flares and solar ejections and so on. So regarding magnetics and everything else, the earth in itself is not a victim to the solar flares. Even though we talk about the earth as being Mother Earth or a feminine aspect, it's basically a life from which life spawns from. And that's basically the earth. That's the reason why we call it necessarily mother, because our physical bodies are an aspect of the earth itself. But the earth is not a victim to solar flares and or coronal mass ejections from the sun. Just like with all levels of the natural order, it's the earth. When the earth is ready, she chooses to be ready when she's ready to make a change or anything. And in the same way, the sun reacts to the feminine, reacts to the earth. So these, in a lot of different ways, the earth is not a victim to anything that, the solar flares, coronal mass ejections, or anything else. Magnetically, essentially, pulls that in the direction of the earth. So there's a lot of changes. People will say, what about this? What about that? What about the atmospheric changes and everything else? There's all kinds of changes going on. The biggest point what I'm trying to say is that the earth is not a victim to the solar flares. It's all part of the natural order. She chooses when open, basically, to those energetic changes coming from the sun. So if you take that in note and just really observe it, see how within yourself, are you tightening up, you're restricting when there's those solar mass ejections or solar flares coming? Are you putting your shields up? Are you truly in line with the Earth's magnetic energetics if you are putting your shields up when a solar flare coming in? Or are you actually open, and you basically being open and allowing that transformational energy to take place? So it's a question for you. So if you look at another thing, the true transformational power on another level, it's basically comes from the feminine aspect. You could say the transformational power of Shiva, just as I have back here, right behind me. The transformational power of Shiva is really coming from the feminine aspect. The divine fire, the transformational aspect is really, tied into the divine feminine. So you could say that the structure of, say, the universe in itself is created by the masculine, sort of like the geometries and so on. But what fills those geometries is the feminine. So in a lot of different ways, the masculine complements the feminine, working in tandem, basically, to provide reality. That's another thing, just for you to contemplate, to really feel out. A lot of you could be closing your eyes and just breathing and using this, what I'm talking about here, as a meditation, if you wish. I'll probably lead into a little bit of it here shortly anyway. So this also goes into, in the new paradigm workshops, we talk about, going beyond the symbols. And there's a lot of, energetic, for those of you that know what Reiki is, there's some of the Reiki symbols actually still have dualistic energies tied to them. It's not saying that they're bad or good or whatever. That's just what it is. But in the same way, there's a lot of symbolism out there that has a lot of dualistic energetics still tied to it. We are in a dualistic reality. But just as I was just describing about the masculine provides the energetic structure, that energetic structure in a lot of different ways could be viewed as symbols. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a good thing. This is just structure. That's all it is. But to truly tap into the true transformational essence of the feminine, you need to look beyond the geometry, look beyond the symbols. Just like in the new paradigm workshops, we go beyond the symbols, focus on the whole spectrum, just basically whatever you're open to receive. So focusing on symbols, geometries, and so on, and again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it also is also limiting to the true power that's available right now. So, that's just to keep that in mind regarding, what is available right now. One of the biggest parts too is how over these thousands of years, how the feminine, physical feminine, has taken on a lot of the traits of the masculine. Not necessarily a bad thing, again. It's just is what it is. But it's a matter of us going forward is to start releasing what is no longer, say, natural. Releasing the distorted, dualistic views of, oh, this is the way it's been, so that's the way it's got to be going forward. That's not the case anymore. So we're aligning more, as I mentioned in my last video about the infinity grid. We're aligning back to the natural order. So in the same way, the natural order is here now. It's not something that is off in the future. Or so on. It's here right now. As I was describing the natural order in a way that plays out through the nature and so on, like with the birds and the other animals and the earth and so on. It's all here right now. It's a matter of us releasing the distortions, the resistance, and the restrictions that sort of limit ourselves from dissolving and truly merging with the divine order, or say the divine feminine, and the true transformational power of the divine feminine. Allowing the change to take place. And going forward, these changes, and I know that some of my views regarding what I am, say, attracted to and so on has changed. So some of the actual roles of relationships might change. You know how, like, in the past, it's always been the masculine that has sort of like gone after the feminine. It might be more now where the feminine, in a way, I'm talking about physical, may be taking more of a role of being the instigator, more than the masculine being the instigator. And in a lot of different ways, that's more of a natural, to me, that's more of the natural order. You know, I don't know how in the heck to describe it any better than that. But again, we're going out of levels of distortion, artificial, say, illusion, into more of the natural order of what truly exists. So this might, as I mentioned, have an effect on relationships going forward. And another video I put out several years ago when I was doing a workshop in Romania, we talked about the sexual energy and the feminine and so on. And I see that what I'm discussing in this video ties into that. There's a lot of change going on regarding the energetics. And it's not that the masculine is going to become more feminine or in any of that way. What I'm trying to describe here is beyond traditional views. It's a matter of us basically aligning with our natural, more of our natural essence, which is, I can try to put it in words the best I can, but to truly grasp that, it's a matter of each individual remembering and knowing, truly knowing, and allowing that knowingness to just come out through being open to change and releasing the old perceptions, the old beliefs, and all that are junk. And just all this other stuff, what I'm discussing here, just flows in, just like, wow, yeah, that makes sense. You have an aha moment. Wow, yeah, that actually does make sense. That's what I'm talking here, and that's the only reason why I'm sharing this information, is to basically allow that we all have a choice in how we're going to experience things going forward. How open you are to allowing change to take place with the levels of your awareness means it's your choice. It's our choice, not only individually, but as a collective. So just taking a second, taking a couple deep breaths, just truly, as in the last video, I talked about the grid within your physical body, the grid in the earth, multidimensional grids in the earth, multidimensional grids in your own physical body, multidimensional grids throughout the solar system, galaxy, universe, multiverse. Connecting in with the power of the divine feminine. Already here now. Already here now. Already here now. Flowing through all the grids, all the multidimensional aspects throughout all time and space, through the cellular structure of the physical body, all levels of the energetic systems, of the earth, the energetics, the reality we know on earth, through the multidimensional realities on earth, through the solar system, galaxy, universe. Natural order, resetting, 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 resetting. Natural order, divine feminine and masculine aligning in synchronicity, flowing, flowing, flowing. Through all the structures, energetics, reinstalling, and activating. The divine knowledge and knowingness. Flowing, flowing, flowing through all levels of remembrance, awareness, realities, nature, structures, all that is not authentic, pure, and or artificial simply dissipates into mist and or into the ether. With your awareness and your own intention. You could say, I affirm. I affirm. All aligning back into the natural order. So you start taking a couple more deep breaths, bringing your awareness back. Going forward, just to keep an eye out for the natural changes to becoming more out, the natural order, say, of life becoming more prominent in the coming years. There's going to be a lot more changes, say, of the old structures and so on, just dissolving and fading away. But the changeover might not be the easiest, but it is taking place. It's taking place right here, right now. It is all around us, these changes. So namaste, my friends. Nice sharing another time with you. And I've already got some things lined up for the next videos. It's just a matter of me putting them together now. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, my friends.